standard U.S. Navy F-8F Bearcat was really a wartime throwaway airplane. You get a little damage to it, it kick it off over the flight deck. And if you look at it closely, of course, your standard Bearcat is pretty ragged around the edges aerodynamically in a lot of ways.
If air racing is going to continue, there's going to have to be some new designs. There's going to have to be some new airplanes because they probably lose one way or another 3 or 4 airplanes every year. Not necessarily in crashes, but in the redesign of them, the trimming of the canopies, the trimming of the wings, and so forth. They are in effect destroying a small but significant portion of the historic aircraft that were so important to us during those World War II days.
And look what those Joe eyeballs were seeing.
To come up with something new and address a new requirement for something, you really do go back pretty much to a sketchboard and try different things. I would say having the courage to try something unusual and then combine with the engineering knowledge of will it work, that is what's really needed.
There's an excellent comparison between the Voyager, which is a long round-the-world airplane, and this the Racer here, which is a faster airplane. And it is just about the epitome of opposites. The Voyager was a long-range airplane, flew very slow, had horrible flying qualities, very uncomfortable, and you stayed in it for weeks. This airplane here, the longest it'll fly is 30 minutes, and it goes like stink, and it flies great. And it's just about as opposite as you can get. I love it. One of the best flying quality airplanes we've done in a long, long time here. We're very proud of it.
Air racing has a lot to give to general aviation because of the evolution and the ability to pass on down to commercial aviation many of the things that they learn in racing.
Now, the beauty of airplanes, and the thing that intrigues me about airplanes, is that something that is designed and optimized beautifully for minimum drag, high performance, and good lift, these things turn out looking good, too.
Somebody asked me what part would the Defender have played in the war in the Falklands, and all of a sudden I got a cold chill in my spine. I thought, my God, you know, if the Argentinians had just bought, instead of buying one squadron of Skyhawks, I bought 5,000 Defenders. Imagine what would have happened in the morning when that 32-ship convoy was coming from England, and they would have got up in the morning and looked over the rail, and here's 2 miles of airplanes coming, 100 aircraft. And behind that, 100 more. And behind that, 100 more. And 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 when we're only the first 800, there's another 4,200 behind that. How would you defend yourself against that? Just how long do you think the Battle of the Falklands would have lasted? 20 minutes? I decided the only way to do it is with a small aeroplane that is very cheap to buy, that everybody can fly easily, and will have in large numbers. And the key, of course, is large numbers. And that's why I started developing the Defender. Actually, the Canadian government now regard me as a threat, because if people start to listen to me, they'll soon, in 5 minutes of thinking, realize that what's going on here is a crock of baloney, and that we don't need to be spending $18 billion in the United States to be buying F-18s. We could be building airplanes here in Canada that would defend the country very nicely, thank you, without any help from anyone. Rolled out flat. And all we've done here is we've taken the wing and rolled it back up again. Only halfway around, not all the way around. If you go all the way around, it cancels its own lift, because it's lifting off the top as much as it's off the bottom. This is a Custer channel wing that you're looking at here. A fellow by the name of Custer was doing this already before I ever learned to fly. I got interested in that Custer wing when I bought a book one day in a used bookstore, and I was glancing through it, and I came across this thing, and I looked at that, and I said, my God, yes, what's going on here? You know, I've been in aviation all my life, and I've never heard of this thing. And here this guy back in the days before I was even learning to fly was doing this business with the lift generated by the propellers. What beat them was that they didn't have the means. It wasn't practical in those days to do cross-shafting on these engines. That's what really beat them. And if the airplane was extremely dangerous, because if one engine quit, it was out of control right now. It would just roll.
Alaska, unlike the rest of the United States, it's about the only way that we can transport people and their equipment in and out of all the places they want to go. There's just no roads here, and without an airplane, very little would get accomplished.
It is just incredibly beautiful to fly through this country. The landscape may be mostly green, still the shape of the terrain, the mountains, the rivers, the mangrove forest in the low country, it is all so awesomely beautiful, so rough. And add to that the eternal snow on the Karstens Range, it just gives me a tremendous kick.
Ja, het is gewoon een bepaalde kick.
It's a feeling for your fellow man, maybe. We can sit comfortably in the rest and live our little lives. But I came here, got a fantastic experience, and helped my fellow man in another part of the world. They are a fantastic people. I have really lost my heart to the Papuans.
Okay, Apple, next item. I've been there again this morning, and it's still horrible, you know, and I think it can be improved. I checked it, I just measured it, it was only 11 meters, and it was even narrower than I thought. What I want to propose is that we, for instance, close it as of the 31st of December next year, so they've got a year's time to do a 3-month job of improving it. and then call it a day.
No, then we're still having a problem with people after a year from now having to get there, like Paters. I mean, there's a real old guy who has to walk, 20 miles to the jungle over there. I mean, he's old.
Yeah, really, I think if we give him a year for a 3 months job, that's enough. We work our ass off to improve the flight safety. That's the least thing they can do. Ini terlalu lebar kecil, ya. Kalau potong di sana, ya, tanah taruh di sini, ya, dan itu lebih bisa diperpanjang. Ya, sekarang mungkin 300 meter, kalau perpanjang itu bisa 450 meter.
Ya. Tanpa uang memang mereka tidak bisa kerja. Mereka minta dari mana uang, dari mana modal.
The old bush pilot was a man with heart for the people, a heart for the job, and with a lot of drive and perseverance. But with a relatively light baggage of aviation knowledge, he did this difficult job. And the new guy, well, he is identical to the pilot in a fighter squadron or an airline. But you must not come here for the money, or if you can't stand that there are no fancy restaurants or whatever. You must believe in this work and love the challenge.
Achter het werk staan en je moet een beetje houden van een bepaalde uitdaging.
Pero ahora con BioAR y con todos los instrumentos que tenemos y con la experiencia, porque la gran mayoría de los pilotos son muy experimentados ya, los que se quedaron en el camino han dado campo a los experimentados de verdad y no es muy peligroso. Y casi es una rutina, ya lo hacemos, ya conocemos muy bien el avión, el terreno, las montañas, prácticamente sentimos ya dónde estamos sin ver siquiera. Todas las pistas acá en el Beni son así, todas. Trinidad es la única pavimentada, pero ahora también está en reparación, o sea que ni esa siquiera. San Borja está bastante bien, está ripiada, pero todas son así, unas peores que otras.
Dale, dale, dale. ¡Ey! Izquierda, izquierda, izquierda. Necesito más de... Dale, con él.
That's all it holds? Okay. Now we know. If you want bottom valve open. Fine. Tail heavy again. Oh yeah. Always tail heavy. Flies just fine. I guess like a South with camel should, but I don't really know what they fly like unless this is one. Now that I'm down, it was really a pleasure, and I didn't see anything shaking too much.
j'ai pris la décision à la fin de l'année 1965 de faire étudier un avion biplace école voltige. Et bien sûr, un biplace, ça n'était pas fait pour un championnat du monde. Il fallait donc aussi un monoplace.
I saw it fly in 1986 and just thought it looked beautiful in the air. And after I watched it fly, I knew that it could fly really well. And I assumed that I could fly it as well as the others if I spent time in it. And it's more than I expected. It's a lot easier to fly than I expected. I think I got used to it very easily. Easy to maintain. It's a wood fuselage, a standard Lycoming engine. I can get parts anywhere. I have a lot of faith in it, a lot of confidence.
Très ancienne, ah oui, elle date du début du siècle. Mais pas de lamelé collé quand même. Vous avez vu les longerons qui sont en lamelé collé. C'est une technique de juste avant la guerre, la dernière guerre. Le premier avion qui a utilisé cette technologie du lamelé, du bois lamelé collé, c'est le fameux Mosquito anglais. Vous savez? Du bois carbone.
It looks old-fashioned, but it is totally state-of-the-art. It's the most modern of all of our aerobatic airplanes, surprisingly. Looks like a World War II airplane, but in the structural integrity and in the method of construction and in the materials used, it's very much state-of-the-art. From a performance standpoint, they're very, very similar. The main difference is that some airplanes are better in certain regimes of flight. The cap has the capability of doing some wonderful Lumpshabak type tumbling maneuvers. The Sukhoi excels in vertical penetration and roll rate and sound. Believe it or not, even in competition, sound is a big factor. The judges are human, and they hear this marvelous sound, and it turns them on, it excites them.
Person wanted to build a home, and they look for the highest point to be able to look out, to see. And I think flying is the closest to that feeling of freedom, to be able to look over the horizon.
If aviation doesn't have a place for the average citizen who can fly, we're going to be in big trouble. They're integral and critical to our overall aviation picture and air transportation.
New names in aviation will not be those famous names of our forefathers of the past. The names will be coming forth from new ideas and designers. The people that developed those companies originally had vision. They were one of the little guys.
I think you're going to see a multitude of builders internationally building a great variety of aircraft. And in the long run, that's going to be best for the consumer because there's going to be more choice, more innovation, and to a certain extent, the competitive pressures will hopefully keep the price as reasonable as is practical.
I think an aircraft's about the most exciting bit of machinery there is. So it's about the only thing that sort of stirs me. Mind the low level sort of buzzing around, but long cross countries tend to wear on my nerves a bit. Well, it's the design and development side that interests me mainly. And I've got to go aloft occasionally to show the builders I have a bit of confidence in my own stuff. As Henry Mignot said, flying is not all that aviation is about. There are other aspects as well.
this aircraft from here to that hedge over there, which is 100 metres away, will clear a 100-foot tree by 200 feet from a standing start from here. Okay, now I can handle leading edge. Let go of the strap, down a little. You go on the trailing edge. Down a little, down a little. Yep. Okay, you can go on the trailing edge now, I've got the strap. Up just a little. That'll go this time. No aircraft has ever held a world record of distance, speed and altitude. This one has come close. I want to show people that this aircraft has not only gone further than all others in its category, it's gone faster, but it also can go higher if you so wish.
You know, I think that to be free from the sort of officialdom and free from air traffic control and able to sort of go when you want and come back when you want, and all the discipline is sort of self-discipline, somehow it makes a very, very satisfying activity, I think.
We spend an awful lot of money on how to analyze, but we don't spend much money on creating an environment for creativity. Much of what people do that's called design is really better called analysis. So design, I think, is something different. It needs to, you need to flush your mind of last year's model, as it were, and you need to be able to visualize load paths and visualize the flow over an airplane and understand just what it needs to do. I've been very good at taking new ideas that other people have come up with and quickly getting them into flight on a manned airplane. You know, I didn't invent winglets. We were just the first ones to fly them. I didn't invent the crescent sheared tip, which is on this airplane. So people say, gee, you know, Rutan invented that. That's not true. But we've been very good at integrating a lot of ideas and quickly flying them. Confidence in nonsense is a requirement for the creative process. And all it means is that sometimes you have to try some things that are nonsensical and try a bunch of them, and then in order to set back and then down select to something that might be usable, and that's the only path to something new.